Now let's move on to Mariam Lambert. Mariam Lambert used to work in many different countries, and since 2022 she has been very active in Ukraine directly. Her organization, Orphans Feeding Foundation, is making sure that Ukraine is not turning into a burn-out space like the moon. So how does the Orphans Feeding Foundation assisting in efforts to reunite missing children with their families or caregivers, because those children were born in Ukraine, which means they're probably going to live in Ukraine as well. Mariam, over to you.
Hello. My name is Sveltana. I'm from Melitopol, the city which was invaded in February 2022. My son, Sasha, is 16 years old, and I would like to ask you all for your help. I've been looking for Sasha for days. Just after the occupation, myself and my son, we resisted not to get a Russian passport. We resisted not to be deported to another city, occupied territories of Russia. We resisted so much that we were under surveillance. A few days later, after we refused to get a Russian passport, my son and the surveillance went for a bike ride. He never came back. He never came back, and I was looking for him for days and days. I decided to go to the police station, which is, by the way, under the Russian Federation. I asked them about my son. They said that they will do everything to find him back. A few hours later, they came to my house. They destroyed the bedroom of my son. They took everything to look for him. It never happened. However, a few hours later, I received a phone call, and they asked me to come back to the police station. They congratulate me. They were happy. They found my son. However, they told me that I cannot get my son back because he's been detained. What happened during that day is that when he went for a bike ride, 2 men from the FSB agent took him. I received this testimony from the neighbors who were afraid to speak up. They took him, they were armed, and they bring him to the police station. The day I met my son at the police station, I couldn't recognize him. He was bruised all over the place. I couldn't recognize him because he was bruised by the shock, the electrical shock he was getting every single hours. In order to testify, they wanted him to testify that indeed he tried to assassinate an Russian officials, which wasn't true. As you can imagine, my name is not Sveltana, my son is not Sasha. I'm Mariam, I'm Belgium, living in the Netherlands. But this is how my morning starts every day, every evening. I'm a mother of 3 children. And when those parents are asking for help, are telling you in different channels because they are still under occupation, they are scared from themselves, they are scared for their child who is still under detention. But this is how we work every day. Our organization has been working in Ukraine, and myself personally, since March 2022, in the occupied territories and frontline villages, and delivering humanitarian aid, evacuating civilians with local NGOs. And in June 2023, together with my colleagues, we decided to partner with Bring Kids Back, Presidential Office, Ombudsman, and my colleague in Ukraine in order to see what can be done to return children who are deported. So together with Bring Kids Back team, our NGO was involved in returning the children who were under the mediation of Qatar, providing them with logistic and helping them. And I witnessed this reunion. I witnessed this reunion with children and mothers. And again, my brain, my soul, my heart is not trained to witness this horrific situation. Our NGO is working on 3 aspects. As you can understand, the children deportation is extremely complex. All politicians, government alone will not be able to do that. NGO, civil society alone will not be able to do that. Lawyers alone will not be able to do that. This is why those three aspects are very important to consider. The first aspect, humanitarian, which I just described. The second aspect is political. So when you have cases like Svetlana, we don't ask people to find their son back. She knows where he is. She has been calling international lawyers, Russian lawyers. There was absolutely nothing they could do for them. And they told them, whatever we do, your son will be detained anyway because it's a fake case. And they're doing that to show to the other children who are still living under occupation. They want to prevent those children to resist from getting a Russian passport. This is why there's nothing they can do. This is why our NGO is actually playing a role as a backdoor channel, and we've been visiting many countries who are actually part of the BRICS countries, because we believe that for those difficult cases, those countries are helping. They are helping, but it's not visible. They are helping because every day, today, when you shake hands, you meet someone, you need to post it on social media every second. But those people, they have also relation with the Russian Federation. And this is the reason why we are using them. It's to be able to put pressure in order to work on those extremely difficult cases where we know where they are, we know who are the parents, but it will be impossible to return them. The third aspect is the legal aspect. We've been working for months and months and months on the identification of the people who were involved in the deportation. Because it's not an accident, it's not an incident that some children were deported, some children were not deported. You mentioned in your speech in another country that those children are targeted. It was prepared before the war. They are targeted. This is why in those lists that we have provided to the EU, you can see lawyers, nurses, teachers, doctors, officials, all of them were involved in deportation. So the list of sanctions hopefully will at least put pressure in order to stop this deportation. What can we do when we are looking for children, trying to identify those children, try to reunite them with the parents? What can we do as well is the preventive deportation. We are not talking about that a lot, but all those mandatory evacuations are extremely crucial. We need to ensure and to convince those families who are still staying in those frontline villages that if they don't get evacuated, those children will be deported. 2 months ago, I was in Kupiansk. There was a mandatory evacuation. The city was empty. They told me there is no one left, but I received calls from people who are still there. They needed humanitarian aid. So we use the fact that we are providing humanitarian aid to actually convince the people to leave Kupiansk. When I arrived there was 350 civilians, and then 75 children were there. And doing evacuation today is different from February, because I didn't know about deportation. But when I was there 2 months ago, I looked at the children, and there was a 12-month-old baby. And I knew that that child will be deported if she's not living. And that's why, all of you, it's not only about looking for children. All of us together, politicians, government, lawyers, civil society, we need to work together. We can prevent deportation, we cannot stop it. Because when the Russians think that they are living under the international law, the International Criminal Court, they believe that it doesn't apply to them. This is the moment in history that we need to be creative and sit all together in order to do our best, not only to return those children, but to prevent further deportation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mariam.